Real estate is taking center stage at the annual Globe's Real Estate Summit, which brought together over 2,000 business professional and governmental officials to talk about the current situation of housing in Israel. The Globe's Real Estate Summit is always the place to be to find out what the latest trends in the Israeli market is, as well as to hear from regulators and lawmakers what they are planning ahead, which will affect the market in the coming months. Hagai Golan, who is the chief editor of the Globe's financial daily newspaper, which is hosting this summit, claims there are basically only two kinds of investors in real estate in Israel.
If I want to give you my professional opinion, most of the investments in real estate in the country come from two main groups, either local investors who want to invest for profits and Jewish investors from abroad who purchase properties here because they specifically want to have investments in Israel.
Shraga Biran, who created the Institute for Structural Reforms, which is assisting the government with deciding on various reform legislations, believes that if the new government will pass only one of the laws he suggested to them, it will get the whole real estate business back on the right track.
The only one law that has to be passed now through by the parliament, it can be done in the coming 6 months, is the law for urban renewal, which will transform, the poverty into riches and will free in the centers of the towns of Israel more than 1 million apartments that can, supply the needs of the country in housing.
Newly appointed Housing Minister Uri Ariel's prerogative is first and foremost to make affordable housing available to every citizen of the country.
We want to get to a stage that not in 2014, but as of 2014, that in a few short years we'll achieve that instead of needing 140 average salaries to buy an apartment. The price will be around 100 salaries, and once we achieve that, to continue to strive to get it even lower.
Although everyone keeps talking about the real estate bubble in Israel, Benny Carrot believes the reality is very different.
Absolutely no bubble in Israel. And you can see that the average finance of a flat is between 50 and 60%. When this occurs, you cannot have a bubble. Bubble occurs when you get 100 or 120% finance and not responsible.
Even though real estate investments in Israel are currently not as lucrative because of the high prices, Nir Amsel claims the emotional buying by Jews from around the world is still a very strong factor in the market.
I've learned from my experience that emotional criteria is also a valid criteria for investments, and I think that the real estate market in Israel right now is in some sort of a peak, I think. In the mainstream of real estate, of course, you can still find opportunities in specific areas of Israel, which are not the main demand areas, not the CBRs, and not the center of the, the highest or the best towns, or Tel Aviv, Jerusalem.
And from the looks of it, after a long time that investors were at odds with the regulators, it looks like the new government is trying to put new laws into effect which will help both the investors, but more importantly, the middle class of Israelis to be able to afford their own housing. For JN1, I'm Ron Jacobson at the Globe's Real Estate Summit in Tel Aviv.